It's a term that can get thrown around a bit loosely around weekends, but given that 829 runs were scored and it ended the way it did, we did truly witness a super Sunday. Can Monday give us some magic to follow suit? Kolkata Knight Riders versus Punjab Kings is match number 53, which we're building up to this Monday evening on Visit Saudi presents ESPNcricinfo T20 Timeout, where I welcome back Deep Dasgupta, who had a long night, and what a game to witness.
Absolutely.
So, quite sharp, Deep, I must say, for the kind of night you gentlemen went through. And it's a welcome back into our studios to Ian Bishop. Good to have you back, Bish.
Thanks for having me again.
What do we make of everything that went down on Sunday, and
God.
how this tournament, every passing day,
Yeah.
I know it sounds repetitive, but I don't have anything else to say. Every day the table looks all the more murky.
And interesting.
Yeah.
From a neutral like myself, I think it's just getting more interesting with every passing game. It seems like more and more teams get into the picture for qualification, and why not? I mean, that's this IPL is all about. But yeah, I mean, I thought seen almost everything there is to be seen in cricket. Had not seen a last ball, no ball, which would change the fate of a team. Saw that last night. So yeah, now I guess I can say I've seen that as well.
I believe the term Ronak used was Bollywood-esque. It did remind me of some movies.
But you can't script that. No, it was actually. You haven't seen that. Lagan. Yeah, Lagan. It was scripted that.
Bish, recovered from Sunday evening?
Well, flabbergasted really at you could see a no ball and the fate and the outcome of a match change in consecutive deliveries. And for Sandeep Sharma, who's very experienced and who was so excellent prior to that no ball, that game against CSK where he stopped Dhoni from scoring those winning runs, and to go over by that much would hurt. But you have to give great credit. One of the things I took out of the game was Glenn Phillips coming in. I thought he should have come in at least a couple of games earlier, and being the player of the match, making that impact was one of the big takeaways for me on the positive side rather than the negative of a no ball.
Always trust Bish to offer that positive light. Glenn Phillips.
He very conveniently kind of didn't go into the Obed McCoy 1 over thing.
It's okay.
But that's a tough job. From Obed's point of view, though, I mean, like I've spoken to him a couple of times over the season, and he was really down about the injuries, really down. And he's that type of soft personality that when things don't go his way, he tends to take it on quite a lot. So coming onto the field and having to immediately bowl a critical over, put down a catch, never easy, especially coming back from injuries. So
sorry,
I give him a little bit of leeway.
No, 100%. Yeah. In fact, what we were talking about yesterday was he should have bowled more. He should have bowled the 19th over.
Right.
I mean, the kind of experience anyways. I mean, that's
yeah.
Yeah.
You had a lengthy enough chat. Yeah. So we'll move back to Monday now.
Yeah.
Bowling and decision making, there are issues that have followed many a team in the IPL, not least the two teams in action. Let's show you where they stand on the points table, because that points table moves so much, so quickly, all the time this season. You do have Punjab on 10 points after 10 games and Kolkata Knight Riders on 8 after 10. We thought at so many instances, even a couple of weeks ago, that Kolkata Knight Riders can't be in the fray. Yet you win today, you're only 1 point off of the third team.
Yeah, absolutely. And so that's make this, especially this year, that much more interesting. I think almost everyone's still in it with a chance. And the good part is GT is almost winning every game, so they're clear of that pack. So you know GT's gone through. So now everything.
Super Kings have 2 of their last 3 at home.
Right. So
not that home is an advantage.
Yeah, but so it's just really interesting. And Kolkata, I guess they're going to start winning. And these are 2 very unpredictable sides, Punjab and Kolkata. At times you look at them play like, wow, what a team. And then there are days where you're like, oh.
Yeah, and that point is so true for Punjab in particular. They started 2023 doing something they hadn't done for 2 years, which is win 2 on the bounce in a single season of the IPL. And yet they've gone back to the same pattern. After that, they find themselves on 5 wins and 5 losses. And Bish, given how tight that points table is, what can pinch teams is when you lose big, and then that net run rate takes a hit, and that's what you see. That Punjab, while they are on 10 points, they are the worst net run rate of all those teams bunched together on 10 points.
Yeah, and that speaks to the extremes, isn't it? Because they've scored, what, 200 in the last 4 games, I think, consecutively. But the concern is the teams they've been playing against also scored 200. Even when Punjab have won, the other opposition team has scored 200 as well. So it speaks to some issue with that bowling of late that they have to get right. And that's one of the things. I was playing with some permutations of what makeup they could have tonight, and I thought an option would have been to replace Short with Rabada. Bring Tide in to bat at 3. So you're playing Ellis and Rabada and Curran and Livingston as your overseas players, strengthening your bowling and not really weakening your batting too much, because Short hasn't really done a lot with the bat. So you weren't losing anything there. So that was just an option that I was toying with.
That option and what you've just said takes care of a few questions I had lined up around that combination, because I was considering whether it's worth bringing that up. And especially, Deep, given that you have seen that domestic batters, Atharv Taide had a few good games, Harpreet Bhatia made the runs. You add to that Prabh Simran and Jitesh Sharma and Shikhar Dhawan. You've got 5 domestic batters, so that option was a realistic one.
It is, and Taide actually, the game, the 50 that he got, batted beautifully. So there's no reason why you don't show faith in that youngster. I mean, I think it's only 1 game after that where he didn't get too many and he was dropped. I mean, I seriously, and that's one of the reasons why the performances haven't been consistent, because the selection hasn't been consistent. And I think it just filters down. If the selection and everything else is consistent and there's continuity, then you see those results as well. But that's one of the things that I don't think they've followed that pattern anymore, and I like that actually. But I'm not too sure whether Rabada is 100% fit or not. He had a niggle last game. Maybe that could be a reason. I'm not too sure, but maybe that's a reason.
We can confirm that Rabada isn't back. We'll bring the teams in just a bit. It is Punjab who have won the toss and will bat first at Eden Gardens. They do have one change, which we'll bring to you shortly. Matt Short does not feature. Those bowling options in particular for Punjab become more important because, Bish, if you look at the numbers, in the death, across the board, every bowler has been having a tough time for Punjab. So you almost feel compelled to just have more options to play with in such a scenario?
Yeah, and use your options. Ellis he was really good in that last game, especially where a lot of runs were scoring. So you'd bank on him to be the person that he is. Ashdeep has to sort of regain his best form, which has slipped a little bit in the last couple of games. Liam Livingston, as a wrist spinner, hasn't given you great value yet in the tournament with the ball. With the bat he has, but not yet with the ball. So those are little things that I'm hoping that Shikhar would be able to get out of his bowling group. And just use all the available resources. We talk about this impact player stuff and just using specialist bowlers, but I've seen several times where runs are flowing and you could have gone to this all-rounder, that all-rounder, just for one to keep it different.
Right. Let's confirm that Punjab playing 11 to you. Matt Short has made way for Bhanuka Rajapaksa, who hasn't featured after the first week or two of this season. That is the only change in this Punjab batting 11. 3 overseas names, so they are leaving themselves with the option of Nathan Ellis and Sikandar Raza, with both of them featuring on that impact bench.
Yeah, it's quite interesting because obviously this batting first, so the pitch might dictate what kind of bowler you'd want. Even though Nathan Ellis, he's got a really potent slow delivery, space off delivery, is very good at that. But the pitch seems to be on the drier side. It's been raining in Calcutta for the last 4 days, so I don't think they've got enough time to kind of prepare it. So there could be spin available. So yeah, so that's going to be interesting, that option, Sikandar Raza and Nathan Ellis. But like that change, Bhanuka, I think he's a really good batter. I mean, he's destructive. He's got everything you want in him. So yeah, I like that change actually.
And in among the most surprising sentences you'll hear all IPL, Kolkata Knight Riders have not made any changes to their setup for this game. They are persisting with the lineup that got them over the line against Sunrisers Hyderabad. One thing that comes in focus in this game, on the pitch report you heard Shikhar Dhawan say that it's a dry surface, which makes him want to bat first, which lends you to think it might be a game where the spinners come into play. And if that does happen, these are the two most contrasting spin attacks there are in this tournament. Kolkata Knight Riders lead the pack in terms of number of wickets, and Punjab Kings have actually had quite a struggle with their spinners so far, Bish.
Yeah, Jha hasn't really done the work that he's been accustomed to doing in previous seasons, whereas Kolkata, well, their spin is carrying them because their seamers are not doing a great deal. Sunil Narine comes under the microscope a bit because I think he's got 1 wicket in the last 6 or 7 matches. His economy rate is higher than at any point, even though the IPL isn't finished yet, across his career. So this is a big game for him to come up trumps. You're looking for Andre Russell to make a greater impact from a bowling and batting perspective as well. So yeah, there's a lot of narratives that I'm looking forward to see how it plays out in this game. The one thing I think they've gotten before we go to deep, that opening partnership with Gurbaz.
Yep.
I think he played and he got dropped and then he came back and he scored an 80 and then he got naught last game. But he's a volatile player in the sense he's aggressive. And I think you've got to show him some confidence and back him and let him know that he'll fail sometimes. Jason Roy is very aggressive. I think that's the best combination for them as long as they can show trust.
Almost worked out very well for them that Jason Roy had that niggle and he missed that one game, which is when Gurbaz slotted back in, and they realized, okay, we can just put both of them together. But I think it's worth spending some more time on Sunil Narine. It has, what to you, Deep, is behind those numbers? Because we haven't been accustomed. We've seen Sunil Narine go through his phases, mini blips, reworking an action, but these last 6-7 games, it's looked a little more off the boil than it ever has.
It's so unlike Sunil Narine. I mean, last few games, 7 games, 1 wicket, expensive. I don't know. I mean, is it got to do with change in captaincy? Is he? I mean, Bish would be able to tell us more. Is he one of those guys who needs his captain beside him and kind of show him the way or give him the confidence? I'm not too sure because it's not just the captain. The whole setup has changed, right? You've got a different coaching staff, new captain. That could be a difference because there are some bowlers who need a little more confidence from your captain, and especially could happen with the spinners a little more than the quick bowlers. Maybe that could be a reason because there's no other reason as such in terms of technical or those things where you can see a difference in his action or something differently that he's trying to do. It's the same Sunil Narine, but it's got to be more to do with maybe tactically and psychologically than technical.
Bish?
Yeah, he's tough. I mean, he's 34. It surprised me. I had to re-look his age the other day, and I didn't realize he'd advanced so quickly, 34 already. He captained the team in the UAE earlier this year. He played in the Bangladesh Premier League for the Kamila team that won the championship back in the Caribbean. On those tired pitches, he's still holding his own. And after the first, didn't have a great game first up. I think the next 2 games, he was okay. He was very good against RCB at Eden Gardens, and I thought, Sunil's back on his game, and then it's sort of fallen away. So things we will never know from the outside is what's the leadership and the interaction in there. So I think with age 34, he's secure in himself. I think it's a great opportunity for us to see the best of him. I don't know if Carl Crowe, his bowling coach, is still around in the setup there, but it is an important game, and I'm hoping that he has the intestinal fortitude to come up trumps tonight because it is important for him and the team. Because Suyash Sharma, I think he's bowling really well for somebody in his first year.
Yeah, if you think about it, I mean, because of Suyash Sharma doing so well, and the fact that you need more support in terms of in the pace bowling side, well, maybe because the pitch has more spin and looks dry, maybe that's the reason they've gone in with an extra spinner. There's a good chance that if this pitch hadn't been that dry, could have gone with an extra seamer in Lockie Ferguson or Tim Southee. So big game from that perspective as well.
And in that regard, given everything we just discussed about Sunil Narine, how much more impressive does Varun Chakravarti's return to his best become? He had an IPL 2022 where you ask similar questions that we're posing right now. To do it in the absence of Narine in form.
It's brilliant, and you can see the reason why. He's definitely worked very hard on his fitness. You see him running around, you see him in his run-up. Obviously, he was struggling a little bit with his injuries last couple of years or year and a half. But he looks so fit now. I mean, more than his bowling, I was so impressed with the catch that he took.
He took it as exactly what ran across my mind.
So I was like, wow, he actually went for it, dived, and I was like, God, he now looks like a proper bowler athlete, somebody who's worked very hard. And when you work hard and when you're feeling fit physically, I think a lot of things fall into place. You know, you're action-wise, you're mentally a lot clearer in what you want to do. You have no kind of baggage, so to say, in your head. I think, for me, the thing that has stood out is his fitness, and I think that's affected his bowling as well.
That economy, so much more impressive considering how he's been used in the back half. I mean, that last game against Sunrisers.
Last over.
And you see a spinner bowling over 16, 18, 20 and not even go for 10 runs. That's the peak of his powers.
No, it's been excellent. As Deep said, that catch, I remember watching that catch. That's not Chakravarti that took that catch. That's somebody else. That's a souped-up Chakravarti. So, no, it's great that as Sunil Narayana's tailed off in his form, he stood up. And I sort of look at KKR. I know there's different talk about the auction, but I see them still as a dangerous team. Dangerous in this sense. I don't know whether they'll make the playoff, but they can upset a couple of parties on the way there because they've got match winners, Chakravarti. If Russell hits form, if Narayan hits form, if Jason Roy, if Gurbaz hits form, these guys can put a team on the back and win a game.
I had another name, Rinku, to that.
Well, we won't go there. he's been a consistent player, Nitish Rana as well, sure, if he comes big. So they're a dangerous team from that perspective, particularly if their spinners bowl well. And Venkatesh Iyer plays an innings like he did at the Wankhede against Mumbai.
Around Punjab's batting now, Deep, how much of a release can it be for a Prabh Simran Singh or a Shikhar Dhawan, who haven't had a lot of runs in the recent games, and even a Bhanupakar Rajapaksa who's returning, to know that that man, Liam Livingstone, who was so key to everything that went right in 2022, we saw shades of his best in that game against Mumbai. How much can that uplift this batting lineup and, in a way, raise their ceiling?
It can, but you can't. I mean, listen, last 4 games, 200 plus, where else do you want them to go? So they're obviously in a good space, but for this game, it's going to be very tactical is what I think. If the pitch is going to behave the way we all think it would, with 3 spinners, 3 very good spinners in the opposition, I think this game's going to be extremely tactical. You've got to be very careful. It's not going to be one of those games where you just come, you see the ball, hit the ball kind of a thing. It could be, according to Tom, a scrapper. We're calling these pitches a scrapper. Could be.
One Lucknow is enough, Deep. Let's not have more.
There will not be another surface like Lucknow. Let me tell you something. That pitch down there, I don't know if another home team relishes playing away from home as much as the Lucknow Super Giants, because that black soil there, hard to score runs, let me tell you.
So when we look at that, and when we look at pitches where a bit of reassessment comes in, it came into play the other day when Mumbai batted first against Chennai Super Kings, and you felt like you needed to recalibrate. This was no longer a Chepauk wicket, which was a 180 or a 200. How much of that comes into play, Bish, today when Punjab set out? As you said, as both of you mentioned, a team that has been scoring 200 for fun might need to just reassess those gears?
Yeah, and I don't want to go too deep into it, for no pun intended. For exactly what Mr. Dasgupta has said, because on the one hand, Eden Gardens has been one of the highest scoring grounds in the tournament this year. The average first innings total significant. So we have to wait and see how this pitch really pans out before we're concrete on what we do. But I still believe that, I hear guys saying you have to play the situation, but you still have to go at a decent tempo. But assessing the conditions is going to be absolutely vital, whether Shekhar can bat deep at a clip. At a clip. That's my important phrase, at a clip. And Liam and those guys play around him. Time will tell. But first, what was it? First 3-4 overs, 5 overs, they make an assessment?
Yes, first 2-3 overs.
First 2-3 overs.
So I think that is important. And also the knowledge of having someone like a Jitesh Sharma, Liam Livingstone, and even Shahrukh, who hasn't really fired as much as he would like to. But at least you've got Jitesh and Liam Livingstone there. So that should help. And also that should help the top order. And also the fact that someone like Prabh Simran, I guess for him, the brief is very clear. Like, just go out there, express yourself. And if, again, we haven't seen even a single ball bowl, so we wouldn't want to kind of, comment on it. But if it is on the slower side, then the first 6 overs become very, very important. That's when you will face, more often than not, quicker bowlers will come onto the bat. a little better. So I think that the thing of assessment becomes very, very important then. I mean, you don't want to miss out on the first 6, and especially the medium pace overs.
And
what about with that, though? You said that's when the quick bowlers will be bowling. If you're Nitish Rana and you're thinking chess match tonight, why not get your slower bowlers to bowl quite a bit in that power play against Shaker, against perhaps Simran Singh, who... I don't know, I can't remember what the numbers are against spin and seam, but Narayan, Chakravarti have a couple of overs in that power play, set the tone.
It has been a common ask from our T20 timeout panel at different phases this season for Nitish Rana or KKR to use Sunil Narayan more at the top, give him the first few overs. But it hasn't happened much this season.
Well, you can understand maybe why, because obviously he's not bowling as well as you would like him to. Maybe trying to protect him as well, so maybe getting him after the 6 overs with more protection in the boundary and stuff like that. But because you have potentially 12 overs of spin and more, Nitish and everyone else, you would want to and maybe at times have to bowl spinners in the first 6. Otherwise, you're not going to get 12 overs. Chances are you will not, unless Varun bowls the 18th and the 20th over. But generally, you would want and Varun's doing I mean, he bowled last game as well in the power play, isn't it? The game before,
yes,
I guess.
Correct, he did.
Yeah, so I won't be surprised if it's not Sunil, but it's Varun who bowls an over or 2 in the power play.
And I'll tell you why these decisions are important now. You look at that table. I don't know if you guys can bring up the leaderboard, the table once again.
There you go.
You look at that, right? I thought this weekend would have been moving weekend. The only team that moved was Gujarat Titans. They moved further ahead. Because DC won, Sunrisers Hyderabad won, shocked the living daylights out of me against some of the top teams, right? Like 10 beat 5, where 10 beat number 1 a few days before that. And from now on, tonight, you have to play your best team and make the best decisions because your wiggle room is running out. If you can get 2 points here tonight and tomorrow night with that Mumbai RCB game, listen, you catapult yourself up the leaderboard. So these couple of days coming up here in these matches, decision-making right, play your best team, don't think what ifs. Live and die with your decision, but throw everything there because 2 points, absolutely critical to moving up.
I mean, we've been talking about it's not 2, it's 4 points basically. These are all 4-point games.
Right.
So
Right.
it's basically...
It feels like the end of those Premier League seasons
exactly.
where, you know, a scrap for 4th
That's
or 5th.
where we are. That's where we are.
Which is exactly where we are. It's just that this, the 4th team here, you've got 6 teams in the fray, potentially, for 4th spot or for 3rd spot. I mean, just think about it, right? Kolkata Knight Riders, with a win today, are level on points with the Rajasthan Royals. Who would have ever said that 3 weeks ago? But, right, we've discussed most of what we can discuss. That table promises to be riveting regardless of the result. But let me put what, given everything you've said about the pitch and the conditions and the reassessment required, might be the toughest question today to answer. Prediction.
I'm not. I've been terrible at this. I've been off by what, 30, 40 runs almost every day. I mean, yesterday I said what, 160 and they ended up 214. So I'm not going for it.
What's there to lose?
Come on. Okay.
Reputation. Absolutely. If I'm watching, and I watch a lot of basketball, and talking heads like us, and when they get one wrong, I switch my channel. We don't want that happening here.
They cover up with the rest of the answers, Bish. Come on, Bish, you give me a number.
What's the prediction? Runs or outcomes?
Total.
Total. 175.
Okay, I'm going to go with 168.
You've convinced Deep to give a prediction. Bravery. Applaud that.
Come on,
and I'll say what I said a few days ago. Leeway will be given because we don't know what these pitches are.
We don't.
Absolutely.
So don't worry.
By the way, what's yours?
Oh, wow.
Don't go like Ronak 200. Ronak's like everyday 200.
I'll go the other end of the spectrum then. I'll say 149.
149.
Right.
Wow, no scoring.
There is no sense behind it, but well, what do I have to lose if you have nothing to lose?
Right.
All right, thank you, gentlemen. We will, let's see how close any of us get to it. But it does make for riveting viewing. It does make for that table. We'll keep focusing on it. If you didn't lose, if you want to keep in track with it, the ESPNcricinfo mobile app, you might want that open at a lot of times through these last 2 weeks that we're into now of this league campaign, because that points table, teams don't move, but everything else keeps moving in the season. So be sure to download that app from the Play Store, from the App Store. We'll be back at halftime on Visit Saudi presents ESPNcricinfo T20 Timeout.